Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today I want to talk about the process of critical thinking. Now, one way in which we could really elucidate critical thinking skills is by looking at certain popular topics that are being discussed in the media and looking at different ways of evaluating what is being said, just to foster a discussion about certain topics that are not being discussed at all. I think one thing we can look at, although it's not necessarily the hottest topic today, was a really hot topic at the end of last year, and that was looking at all the sexual harassment allegations that are happening in Hollywood. Because I think we all know that that happens in the entertainment industry across the world, so not just in Hollywood, but in Bollywood. And being that I'm based in Asia, I've heard lots of allegations in South Korea in the entertainment industry of a lot of actresses also being subjected to being pimped out by entertainment executives and having to really be act like a prostitute and provide a lot of sexual services in order to stay relevant and become a famous actress and whatnot. But one thing that I disagree with is that a lot of these people are being presented as heroes, and they're saying, oh, look at these actresses, they're so brave and speaking out. But let's really tell it like it is, because 100% is wrong what happened to them, and if they're sexually harassed or even worse, like raped or groped, then of course that is 100% wrong. But I am, and then the person that committed the act 100% should be arrested, and they should go to jail for a long time, especially if they're a serial sexual harasser. I 100% agree with that. But where I disagree with the mainstream media and how they're painting things is by calling a lot of these people heroes, because once that happened to them, okay, I believe that these people should have spoken out. Because if these people had spoken out when that happened to them, then they could have saved hundreds, if not thousands, of other young, innocent, very vulnerable girls and boys from being sexually harassed by these same executives. But they chose fame and fortune for giving up their careers. So let's not paint them as heroes, because that's ridiculous, because that doesn't happen just in entertainment. That happens in all kinds of industries where people are offered all the time the chance to sell their soul for fame and fortune. And it's after that point when they know it's a choice, then they can walk away or they can stay. And if we're really being honest about the situation, a lot of those actresses stayed to get that fame and fortune. They didn't have, once they were subjected to that, they could have outed that person. They could have came forward and they would have saved hundreds of other young boys and girls from being sexually harassed. Now, of course, just to make my point crystal clear so there's no misunderstanding, I think people there's certainly women, girls, men, boys that were sexually harassed by people in positions of extreme power where these people threatened the lives of the people they sexually harassed. And because of that, then these people didn't speak out. And now some of these people have spoken out. And yes, these people are heroes. But I'm saying those that weren't in that situation, those that had the ability to make an enormous difference on the lives of everyone that came after them, and who made a choice of fame and fortune over integrity, over courage, over speaking out. Those are the people I'm saying are not heroes. Now let me give you an analogy, because these type of choices have to be made amongst a diverse array of industries, not just in entertainment. These type of choices have to be made in the corporate world all the time. And I in fact, had to make that choice. And of course, it wasn't a choice between being sexually harassed or fortune, but it was a choice between engaging in unethical behavior, what I would deem to be highly immoral behavior, what in any nation with a just system, with a functioning justice system, would be criminal behavior, as a matter of fact. But in fact, in the financial industry, is legal behavior because those with the most money and power make the laws and have deemed a lot of immoral, unethical, criminal behavior as legal. I had to make that choice as well. And by no means by no means at all do I think I was a hero for making that choice. I just think I'm a normal human being who made the choice to walk away because I didn't want to sell out my integrity. I didn't want to sell my soul to the devil, basically. I wanted to know where my soul is and feel good about not compromising my soul, not selling my soul to the devil. When I was in private banking and when I was, working in private wealth management in the actually highest profit margin branch in the entire United States, when I walked away, my boss tried to convince me to stay and basically told me that I was giving up millions of dollars in salary. And I had not yet gotten to that point where I was making like really, really good money. So it's not like I walked away after selling my soul and having a good little nest egg saved up. I walked away before any of that happened. And I was told by my boss, if you stay for 5 more years, you are going to be cumulatively making millions of dollars. And I walked away from that, where I could have sold a piece of my soul, or if not, probably it would have been my entire soul, for that fortune. So it annoys me to no end when people call these people heroes for coming forth now, because it's 20 years after the fact or 10 years after the fact, when if they just came out then and said, okay, I need to walk away from my career and I'm not going to stay silent about this. That's why I truly think the people we should be admiring as heroes are people like actresses like Constance Wu, who came out and spoke out about these issues, and people said, oh, you really should be quiet because it's going to hurt your career. And she actually came out and said, I don't care if it ends my career because my integrity is more important, and actually doing what's best for everyone in my industry is more important than my career. And so, meanwhile, we're calling these people heroes that remain silent and let hundreds of other young girls and young boys trying to make it in the industry be harassed by the same monsters they were harassed by, because they wanted the fame, they wanted the fortune. And that is a straight up fact. You could have walked away. No one forced you to keep being harassed by the same people over and over again. Once it happened once, I'm saying to these people, they could have came out and spoke out against it then. So no way am I victim blaming or victim shaming. So I don't want to hear any of that nonsense that this is what I am doing. Because I'm saying no way does a victim ever deserve to be blamed. And I explicitly said that the people that were committing these atrocious acts are monsters, and they need to be arrested and go away to jail for a very long time. But I'm saying once this happened, it is a choice. It is a choice whether to keep quiet so you can remain in that industry and get that fame and fortune and sell a little bit of your soul, or you could have come out, spoken out against it. Yes, and it may cost you your career, but all kinds of people have to make those decisions all the time in other industries, and they make the decision to walk away rather than to subject themselves to the kind of immorality that they're going to see. Because as we all know, the banking industry is highly immoral right now. They do all kinds, they commit all kinds of theft, and people stay. It's a choice. Either you walk away, you retain your integrity, or you stay in for the fortune. In that case, there's not going to be any fame, but in other industries, there are, certainly fortune to be gained. And so, those that have been following me on Snapchat since I started my Snapchat stories know that in the beginning of 2017, over a year ago, I snapped a story and said a sure way to make 30% money in the stock markets in 2017 was to buy the biggest names in defense, because I saw that this was going to be a year of warmongering. And in fact, you can probably make 30% again by buying the biggest names in the defense industry if you look at what they are. But back in 2017, I haven't named those companies. I said Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing. These are the companies that are going to go up, and you're going to make an average of probably 30%. I predicted 30% if you just buy those 4 stocks. And, but I said, I'm not going to recommend any of these stocks to my clients because I don't believe in making profits off of death. and I don't believe in making profits off of the destruction of humanity. So I said, even though I know that this is a good way to get more clients, to build more business, and make profits for my clients, I'm not going to do it. And everyone that watched that story knows that is 100% the truth. And again, I looked at the end of the year, and anyone, if we looked at those stocks, they were up 17%, 27%, 98%, and 36% for an average gain of 45%, even higher than 30% gains I predicted. But I still would not build my business around something that I feel is dishonorable. So, you know, when we look at certain situations like this, just don't, I urge people not just to believe and to internalize as your own belief system what the mainstream media is telling you, because they want you to believe certain things. They want you to believe that, you know, choosing fame and fortune over integrity is a good thing, because that's kind of the message that they're selling people. And if we look today, we know Harvey Weinstein's not the only one. We know there are dozens more people like them. You know, I'm just speculating at this point, but we know beyond any doubt that there are some very famous actors and actresses that know who these other people are that are exactly like Harvey Weinstein, whether in Hollywood, whether in Bollywood, whether in South Korea, or whether in any other, in Australia, in any other major entertainment, you know, any major country that has entertainment as a major export. We know that the most famous actors and actresses in these countries know who these people are, and they're not naming them. They're remaining silent to protect them. And nothing is being said. Nothing is being said that these people are cowards, you know, because you know that these people know who these other people are, and you know by not coming forward now and naming these people that because it would end their careers and they want that fame and fortune, that they're going to allow hundreds more young girls and young boys to be sexually harassed. We're not saying that these people are cowards. We're still going around admiring them because they have fame and fortune, which I think is ludicrous. And it's not like these allegations are new, although some people think the allegations against Harvey Weinstein, I don't know how you pronounce his name, were new and shocking. This is something that the industry has known about for decades. Trust me, because I used to live in Los Angeles, and even then I heard rumblings about Harvey Weinstein, I don't know. And I had nothing to do with the industry, and I heard about the allegations. And for example, in South Korea, right, because I'm Korean American, I know the story about Ja-yeon, who was this South Korean actress that committed suicide more than 10 years ago, and she wrote a letter naming 31 executives, she said, that pimped her out to perform 100 sexual acts. And you know what? One of the CEOs that she named in her letter for sexually exploiting her was punished. When this letter was made public, he was only made to pay less than $30,000 US, which is nothing to her family as reparations for sexually exploiting her. So, you know, people asked back then the same questions are asking of actresses today in Hollywood and Bollywood and countries all over the world. They said, well, why didn't she just leave the company in the face of all that, you know, all that humiliating, dehumanizing sexual abuse? And they said, well, her career would have gone up in, you know, smoke if she left the agency, and that if she left the agency, that the CEO would have spread false rumors of hers as being a handful to work with, trouble to work with, not worth it, and she would have been blackballed by the industry. But here's the thing, and in no way do I want to denigrate someone's memory, someone actually had gone through so much pain, but I'm saying that maybe something is sick with the society today, where we feel so much that success is only fame and fortune that we can't make the choice to walk away from that, to choose another career path, to come to the realization that this career path is not possible without massive dehumanizing acts, engagement in dehumanizing acts and massive sexual exploitation. So I am just going to have to pursue another career. There is something really, really sick about society, and should be an indictment upon what society preaches and promotes if that is indeed the case. And speaking of other industries, when we look at, say, disposable fashion industry like Zara, like H&M, there are documentaries out here like The True Cost that show how people are being exploited in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and they're being paid next to nothing to and be giving no bathroom breaks, and being employing underage children to work brutal hours every day to manufacture their clothes. And we know certain people are being paid to remain silent about this type of exploitation of people, and even human trafficking that occurs in the food industry. I've heard a lot in Southeast Asia about how illegal laborers are employed on shrimping boats, and also that they're murdered if they try to speak up, and they're not paid. So that basically amounts to not only human trafficking but human slavery. And a lot of people are remaining silent because they're getting paid to remain silent. But when I look at it, these people are actually inflicting harm upon themselves, because not only are they participating in the whole web of human trafficking and human slavery, but they're allowing their own minds to be trafficked, because mentally, I think people that remain silent like this are extremely weak, and their minds are being trafficked by those people that are much more powerful above them, that want to sell fame and fortune and have people go about it and encourage people to attain that by any means necessary. So, and I think the people that are doing this, the people at the very top, the people like the Rothschilds, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, like all these people, Bill Gates, when you look at it, I think that, people say, oh, no, they just want to be rich. But I think if you really dig deep underneath the surface, it's because they're insecure. So let me explain what I mean by this, because I think that fear is genetically passed on. If you read anything about the Rockefellers, you know that in his own autobiography, I can't remember who is a patriarch. Was it David Rockefeller? No, I think it was John D. Rockefeller. It actually might have been, I think, David Rockefeller's biography. He said he wrote stories of, forgive me if I'm wrong, it's one of those, either John or David, that he wrote stories of how his own father tried to cheat him and cheated him out of money until he caught him, because his father said, in this life you cannot trust anyone, because everyone in the world you encounter will always try to cheat you. So that type of fear gets passed on genetically and within the DNA, that kind of mindset. And if you think I'm talking crazy talk, it's actually been proven that fear can be passed on genetically, because there's one study that was done with rats where they conditioned rats to be fearful of a certain floral scent of flowers, of smell that flowers emitted, whereas of course they had no reason to be afraid of this scent of flowers before, because flowers can attack you, obviously. So what they would do is, anytime these rats were around these flowers and could smell the scent of these flowers, they'd give them an electric shock, so they conditioned them to be afraid of the scent of these flowers. And then they took the pups away, and they bred these rats. They took the pups away, and then when they exposed these pups that had no opportunity to observe their parents being fearful of these flowers, these pups ran away from the flowers once they got within the scent of these flowers. And then interestingly enough, then they bred the pups, and then the second generation was also proven to be afraid of that floral scent, whereas the control group had no fear of these flowers. So not only did the fear last one generation, but it lasted 2 generations, and only the 3rd generation did it start being bred out of the population. So I think that these people, they obviously have enough wealth. The Rothschilds are probably trillionaires now, not even billionaires, because all the billionaires they stick on the Forbes and Fortune magazine list, it's a joke, because the richest people in the world, they hide all their assets, they don't hardly pay any taxes, and they are much wealthier, multiple times wealthier than the wealthiest people that are publicly paraded around. It's like ridiculous. So these people, they want to be our gods, they want to do so because of that certain fear that's been passed on by horrible parents that taught them a horrible way of thinking everyone's their enemy, that other people are animals and shouldn't be treated like humans, and that other people are beneath them that don't have the same wealth and power as them. So they're trying to gain and hold on to this power because of the great sense of inadequacy that they have, actually. So these people are plagued with inadequacies, and that's why they're such rotten human beings. And that is the very reason why they're trying to program us into being rotten human beings just like they are, to only care about fame and fortune, and to justify any means necessary of getting that, even if it hurts our community, even if it hurts our fellow human beings, even if it hurts our family, even if it hurts our closest friends. They're like, get your fame, get your fortune. It doesn't matter how you get it. So that's why I'm saying, when we hear certain narratives that promote this way of thinking, we have to get around it. We have to get, off of that. You even see that in some movies, because they want to normalize bad behavior. They want to normalize cheating, and that type of message is being propagated today. So we have to beware. And not only that, they're bringing back the 80s Wall Street greed is good message again today. I see that a lot in the cryptocurrency world as well, because it annoys me to no end when I'm trying to give my truthful, honest opinion about Bitcoin. And people say I'm jealous for missing the boat because I haven't yet bought any Bitcoin. I doubt that I ever will, because of my belief about what Bitcoin is. And so I didn't miss the boat, because ask any of my friends in Los Angeles about the script I wrote in the early 2000s, which was years before Bitcoin was invented in 2009, which I predicted the rise of a digital currency to take over the world, because this is about a power struggle. It's a conspiracy theory movie, and it's about a power struggle that happens. And one of the ways that the people in charge that hold all the power in the world maintain their power is by elevating a digital currency as the main form of money in the entire world. So I knew this was the global banking cartel's plan in the early 2000s. And when I saw my prediction come true in 2009, when they announced the first year of Bitcoin being on the market, when many of my friends asked me back then what I thought about it, I told my honest answer. I said, this is what I predicted years ago would happen. So, and I told them too, because this is what I predicted as the end game of the global banking cartel. It's going to be around for a long time. So in that sense, it's safe. And I also said it's probably going to rise a lot in price as well, because if it's the banker's end game, it's going to be around for many years and it's not going to go away. So the only way they're going to get widespread adoption is by having the price go up a lot. Of course, I didn't think it was going to go anywhere the amount that it rose in 2017, but I thought it was a safe bet for a lot of profits. Just like I thought the defense industry last year was a safe bet for significant profits. But I stayed away from it for the same reason I stayed away from defense stocks. Whether my opinion is right or wrong, I'm saying that the reason I stayed away from it, and I think in the end it's going to be proven to be right, even though I probably on the 1% side of the fence that believe this about digital currencies and Bitcoin, that think it's part of the global banking cartel's plan to even gain more control over the monetary system. I think I'm on the maybe less than 1% side, because greed is good and greed is beautiful. So again, I urge everyone not to be blinded by the mainstream media's narrative, because I'm telling you, the mainstream media loves negativity. Because take, for example, the cases of Colin Kaepernick and Chris Long, who are two American football players. Now, Colin Kaepernick, whether you disagree or dislike his politics, you have to admit that this guy has done some great things. And plus, he had the courage, what I admire, he had the courage of his convictions to lose his career over his convictions, because he got blackballed by the NFL because of his stance against police brutality in the United States. And a lot of people, a lot of American football fans hate him, absolutely detest and hate Colin Kaepernick. But this person, he gave up a multi-million-dollar career because he was not afraid to express his real beliefs. Now, how many people say that? I come across people unwilling all the time. Even in banking, I came across all the time people unwilling to give up those mid-six-figure to low seven-figure salaries, because even though they knew they were working in a very dirty industry, because the money was too good and they didn't have the courage to follow. These are people too that say they're religious. It's like laughable for people to say they're religious and they're working in a dirty industry. So when I look at people like Chris Long, who gave up. He's playing in the biggest athletic event in the entire United States this weekend, the Super Bowl. But yet, how many media stories do we see about that? There's a person who gave up his entire salary, donated it to community service organizations that help people in need. And yet, you probably, maybe you'll hear like one or two small stories, but you're not going to hear like a major story about that because the media loves negativity. And Kaepernick, you hardly hear about his $1 million pledge. Again, what was that? He pledged $900,000 of his own money, again, to community organizations that help people out in communities all over the United States, of communities that serve, community organizations that serve communities of different races, of different ethnicities, of different cultures, of different religions. So it's helping everybody out in the United States, just people in need. That was the only qualification, just help out people in need. And he said he'd match the funding that people gave. And I believe the total money raised is over $1.6 million. And again, the media will just focus on, oh, he's a bad American because he kneels for the national anthem. I'm not going to focus on the positivity of events. So just be aware that there has always been a divide and conquer because the media doesn't focus on positive news. But we have to be smarter to see through that and to focus on the positivity and forget about the negativity. Just focus on the positivity. The number one problem with mainstream media today is they want to polarize everything. So you either have to be a victim or a hero. But no, you don't. You can be a victim, but you maybe only took 50% of the actions that you should have taken. So you're a victim, but you're not a hero either. But the media wants to polarize everything because guess what? Polarization sells. The Kardashians sell. Just buffoonery sells. And that's what the media wants to put on the forefront of everyone's attention. So instead of praising people like Ken Saro-Wiwa, rest in peace, or even those that are alive like Carl Rabador or Samaya Kazi or Vandana Shiva, and you're probably saying, who? And that's exactly right. You're saying, who? Because these are people doing great inspirational things, but the media does not want to focus on positivity. They want to focus on polarization. And the last topic I want to address on this podcast episode is maybe something that's you think is totally unrelated, but I'm going to have my point, so please keep listening, and that is the topic of parenthood. I think we need to change the definition of what a good parent is, because I think that there's a lot of parents out there that are horrible parents. I mean, there's a lot that are wonderful, great parents, but I think parenting goes far beyond just providing a roof over your child's head and just feeding your child and sending your child to school, because as we all know, school does not equate to education. So that is not giving and providing an education for your child just because you're giving them the funding to pursue institutionalized schooling and sitting in a classroom and becoming brainwashed and becoming behaviorally conditioned. I think far beyond that, that it is a parent's duty to teach a child how to critically think, because that really could save the child's life later when they have to use their critical thought skills to understand when they're in a stressful or dangerous situation, the proper decision to make. And it's not enough to just provide the funding to go to school. I think also beyond that, those critical thinking skills, which it should be a parent's duty to provide to the child, that a parent has to teach a child compassion, because that really enables a child as they bloom into a young adult and then eventually into an adult to understand and make decisions to do what's best for their community, all of humanity, not just for people of the same nationality, people of the same religion, people of the same skin color, people of the same that have the same thoughts that they do or same belief system that they do. And it helps people as they bloom from a child to young adult to see everyone as a human being, which I think is critically important if we want to build generations that treat each other in a humane fashion, instead of choose war as the first answer to every conflict and choose death and destruction. And then Thirdly, I think that it is a child's parent's duty to teach a child how to be happy. Because learning how to be happy is a learned skill. So it's not something that a child can necessarily learn just by observing. In fact, if they observe society, they're probably not going to learn how to truly be happy, because institutionalized schooling teaches them just to go after the most money, be greedy, be selfish. Social media teaches them how to be narcissistic, be self-absorbed, don't care about your fellow brother or fellow sister. And if a parent teaches a child how to, gives them the skills and teaches them, so they're learning these skills as far as how to be happy, then they're not going to buy into all these bogus constructs. And by teaching them critical thinking skills, they're not going to fall into these false constructs that are engineered by people with the most power and most money in every single nation. And they're really going to learn how to be happy, and they're not going to fall and just fall in line and just march through life in the line without ever getting out of line, like cattle within these false engineered artificial constructs that society gives us to go through life. Finally, and other people in my opinion that we should be supporting out there, YouTubers, go to their Patreon accounts and throw them a bone if you can and help support them, are Luke Rutkowski, because he's someone that definitely has been attacked over the years for trying to tell people the truth, be an independent journalist, and cover major global stories in the financial world and the political world, and cut through all of the propaganda. Ken O'Keefe is one. Ken O'Keefe is someone that actually gave up a thriving business on the paradise of Hawaii, and he gave it up to continue his activism because he feels it's really important to spread truth. So go look up Ken O'Keefe and go support him. Like other people even admire that aren't alive, like Bob Marley, because even though he was a wealthy musician, he definitely, and it's been proven because the CIA had a file on Bob Marley, he attracted negative attention from the powers that be because he sang anti-colonial songs about freedom and independence, and even with white minority rule in Rhodesia and their war and their fight to become free, Rhodesia, which is today is known as Zimbabwe, where again you have the minority controlling the majority, which I'm going to talk about in another podcast episode. When you bring things to people's attention, when you participate in the struggle for freedom, the struggle for justice, you are going to bring a lot of heat down upon you. So I really encourage all of you listening to this episode to please do support those that not only bring a lot of danger upon themselves because they continue to talk about such issues. Go support their Patreon accounts. I also encourage you to really reach out to these people, because some, like I mentioned, Ken O'Keefe actually gave up a thriving business in Hawaii. I believe he had a scuba diving business, and he had to actually flee Hawaii for a while because the heat was just coming down on him too much. Not only do I encourage you to go visit the YouTube channels of other people that are trying to spread truth, but I really encourage you to like their videos. I mean, only if you like them, of course, and also to comment as well, because that really helps the message spread, because a lot of people go to these people that spend a lot of time putting out a lot of free content and don't comment and don't like their videos, even though they do, which keeps the truth suppressed. So if you really are interested, you have to play an active role in what is going on today. If you really like them and support them and want to encourage truth to be propagated throughout the internet, then you have to help them out at the very least by commenting, by spreading it to other people and asking other people to comment, and by liking it, because that will help against some of the suppression that is going on today.